All eyes were on the front of the room, as the teacher slowly appeared in front of the wall display, his stealth armor shimmering as he came into view. "All right," the Kleptorian hissed out to the room, as his black scale shined in the lecture hall's lights. "Settle down. Today's lesson on espionage and disruption is all about the humans. I know it is strange to have a whole day devoted to just one species, but in fact we will be devoting a whole segment to this species." He paused to let the class talk out their surprise with each other. It was rare for a species to get such a focus in anything, considering how many were in the Union alone, much less the newly formed alliance that was entirely the humans' fault. That bit of modern history wasn't his class, though. He had to tell these poor souls just what to do against the humans themselves. All right. Quiet down. No, I will not be taking questions yet." He looked over at a small group of humans that had been starting to raise their hands. "I personally have run special operations against many of the known species, and some you will not learn about till much later in your careers. The humans, however, pose the greatest challenge to my role, not just due to their large list of ways they can discover an infiltrator, a list that grows by the hour still, but due to how one must conduct such an operation. Tell me, what is the number one task for any infiltrator inside an enemy base?" He pointed to a young avian by the humans. "Destroy anything vital, sir," the normally top-of-the-class student yelled out with pride. "Correct," the professor hissed out with a nod. "But not for humans. The number one thing you want to do with humans is steal." One more confusion rippled through the room before he held up his hand to silence them. "Let's go from the large to small, and I will explain the normal reaction to distraction, and then the human reaction to the item being stolen." He started to put the next bit on the board. The reason for this difference is that no matter what, the human reaction to destroying something has these two features. First, improve. They improve things so that the item is not destroyed again. 2, replacement. They will replace it, usually with an improved model by the end of the week, at the latest. Due to these two factors, destruction of human equipment is not only a waste of time and effort, but will probably only cause more trouble in the long run. We have all heard the stories of the human latrines armed with sentry guns. Those stories are true. He paused to give his students time to record everything. Alright, let's start with the large. Capital ships or other major vessels or vehicles. He held up a hand to cut off the discussions and questions he knew would come. No, I have no idea how you are supposed to steal them. If I did, the humans already have a fix for it. He started to pace in front of the room. First, the normal response to the destruction of a major vehicle or vessel. The power that owns it would typically mourn its loss, schedule its replacement, and try to find out how to replace it in its current duties. The human response to such an act? They will be impressed. He could see the humans looking confused at first before nodding along in approval. They will be annoyed that the vehicle is gone, perhaps even angry. However, you will find that they will be taking note of any infiltrator that does such an act, and will actually show them respect. One of my teammates managed to steal one of their frigates by convincing their AI that it would be in the universe's and humans' best interest. Upon his capture on a separate mission, the humans actually treated him as if they captured a commanding officer. He found out he was known as the Nevada Napper. He is actually now on tour with the captain of that ship, telling his story to the humans who pay him to do it, for their own amusement. He watched the class erupt into discussion, with the humans, as predicted, nodding along laughing. Next, more medium-sized items. Guns, computers, stuff of that nature. The normal reaction to destruction is an increase in security followed by replacement. If you steal such things from a human base, however, there will be a replacement, an increase in security, but there will also be annoyance. They will be more upset the item was stolen than destroyed, and it will also trigger reactions from within their command to try to maintain secrets. We once had an entire battle where the humans were simply attempting to recapture a computer. They remotely wiped it, but wanted it back for these two reasons. 1, they wanted to be sure it was clean. 2, and I will quote the enemy commander, "It is fucking ours, give it back." The infiltrator managed to draw the humans out of a very well-defended location through the theft of a laptop and a couple of personal digital assistants. There is also the risk of the humans taking it as a challenge, as in the case of the Killick outpost, but such events reduce their combat effectiveness. However, this can lead to the human creativity issue you probably have heard about. He paused, letting the class take notes with a few of the students near the humans, tossing a few questions their way. Almost all met with, "It makes sense," and shrugs. The professor paused, then reached into his case. Soon he put 3 things on the table. A round metal cylinder that was hollow, a metal rod, and a long wire. Most of the class went quiet in confusion, looking at the trio of items. The humans, however, were not. Oh, that's fucked up. The 10mm? Of all the ones you had to pick that one. That is one old charger, has to be mil-spec. The humans rattled out, only to be silenced by the professor lifting his hand. This was the secret that he had accidentally discovered in his missions. The last and the most tricky is the small items. These 3 items helped to sow so much chaos and disorder in a human outpost that we actually delayed engaging it to let them reduce their anger levels out of fear that they would use us to reduce it, he explained. He lifted the rod first. This is a human pen. Some human items still need physical signatures. I stole this device since I did not have time to destroy it. I promptly watched the officer spend 2 days looking for it, refusing to sign anything until he eventually had a new one delivered. The part that confused me was that it had lesser quality versions nearby, but the officer was determined to, and I quote, "use his own." This act reduced the base effectiveness by 10% for those days, as he spent more time looking for it, and even started to blame others for his theft. He put the pen down and picked up the wire. This theft was next. I noticed that their leader's device did not operate without it. I stole it, and hid to observe to test my new theory. This time he did not look for it long, but instead started to borrow the cords of those under his command. A few said that he should get a replacement, but he insisted that he simply left it in his quarters, even though I was holding it, so I knew he had not. This continued for a few days until one of their own left a replacement at his desk, exactly as I had found the one I had stolen. The commander promptly began using it as if nothing had happened. However, this had taken 3 days, and had reduced efficiency by 9%. He then picked up the last item, getting a whistle from a human. The professor nodded to the human with a knowing smile. This is an adapter for some of their tools. He turned the steel object in his hand. Stealing this one thing reduced their vehicle repair bay efficiency by 20%, caused 2 fights, and an overall base efficiency reduction of 5% due to the workers being so angry at each other. The thing is, there was a box of replacements in the corner of the room. He watched the humans shake their heads and try to become smaller, as all the others looked at them in confusion. The mechanic I stole it from promptly accused the others of stealing his. Then, when the others argued against it, a small fight broke out. Once that fight was done, they were forced to continue to work. However, the original mechanic stole an adapter from another. This string of thefts continued, with other items being stolen, until it ended a month later with a fight. Afterward, all adapters had initials carved in them, with them registered to individual mechanics. He put the adapter down on the table. It is acts like these that has led me to determine that stealing, not destroying, a human's things will cause far more disruption. He looked around the room slowly, and let this also serve as a warning. If the humans are so determined to do such acts, due to them thinking they lost something, imagine what extent they will go to if they learn you are there.